What's up, everybody? How's it going? We're here on a very special episode of Runner on the Air. I'm joined with my co-host, Penny, right here. Feel free to introduce yourself. Go ahead, Penny.
Hi, my name is Penny, and I'm also part of the Runner.
Yes. And then we're here. This is our highlight episode of September. We have Dr. Erika J. Harper with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ibu, and Penny for inviting me to talk today. So I'm Dr. Erika Harper. Most of my students, I go by Dr. H. I've been here at CSUB for about going on a decade.
Wow.
9 years, yeah.
That's crazy.
And so, I'm a lecturer in the psychology department. I also am the director of the Master's in Counseling Psychology program.
Wow.
And within for the undergraduate department, I teach positive psychology and health psychology.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, you said positive psychology. That's the first time I'm hearing that. What is
Yeah.
positive psychology?
It's actually the scientific study of happiness and what makes humans thrive and strive.
I like that.
Really is very closely connected with, so we look at things like what helps our mental health states, our emotions. So it's quite connected to psychotherapy orientations, and then also health psychology. So those are the two that I'm really focused in on and teaching this semester. So it's pretty cool. It's a nice combination. My approach really, as far as what I like to study and teach about, is everything to do with our mental health, which goes really hand in hand with our physical health.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So they both just go right hand in hand, and so it really works out nicely that I'm teaching the two this semester. Yeah.
That's cool.
Is there a aspect of negative psychology as well that you study, or is your preference positive psychology?
So that's a good question, and that's a question that we tackle in the first few weeks of class in my positive psychology class. And I often get that question, well, if you teach positive psychology, is all of the rest of psychology negative psychology?
Right.
And that's definitely not it. It's just kind of, we focus in with positive psychology on human strengths.
Okay.
And really, what enables us to face challenging situations psychologically, physically, and all these things, like I said, go hand in hand. And so we really, with positive psychology, though, it's a fun topic to teach about because there's all kinds of things that we can kind of do every day in our lives that
For
enhance
sure.
our, what I like to call our bounce back ability, our resilience.
Yes.
I like
yeah.
that. You mentioned mental health, and this is something I've been wanting to ask, actually. I noticed around COVID, like mental health was starting to become more of like a priority. Social media was more of like a thing to, promote mental health and talk about it. Why do you think, obviously a pandemic is, will do that for you, but why do you think it took so long for humans to speak up about it and prioritize mental health?
Well, I appreciate that question, Ibu, because we saw a lot of detriment to a lot of research that's coming out of it now, just how hard the pandemic was on all of society, in a way that we've seen now that loneliness is its own public health threat, is loneliness and isolation, and really pointing to the idea that we are the social animal, and that we need each other. So that was a huge detriment of, a lot of great things did come out of COVID and that point in time, but we also see that we had record highs of individuals sort of going to negative coping in terms of self-medicating as well.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like during that time, did you kind of see a shift in like our society, like here in Bakersfield? Because I was inside most of the time, but even talking to my friends, we were kids, right? We were 18, but at the time it was like, man, I'm sad. Like, bro, I'm sad. But we didn't know at the time that's mental health, poor mental health. Did you see that within other people in the society?
I want to cite the sources specifically, but we saw that across the nation. As far as what COVID did to specifically young people's mental health state. So we saw an increase. Again, I want to cite the specifics, but generally speaking, we did see a huge increase in anxiety and depressive symptoms, unfortunately. Again, going back to, why I love to teach about what I teach is that the biological is deeply connected to the psychological, to the social, to the cultural, and all of that comes together to really influence our, what I like to call our bounce back ability, our resilience, and how we got over that tough time, because I know it was definitely a widespread tough time that society kind of dealt with. And, we are experiencing those repercussions that we will for a very long time and learning a lot from also the experience at the same time.
Yeah, I do think it is a positive. I mean, you can look at it positively, the fact that there was a huge portion of us that went through that. And I think you can use that to, seek out the help. And now it's always been available, but now it's even more, noticeable.
Especially for the future generations too.
100%.
Because now it's like, even in my brother's classrooms, like he's a freshman, and they're even talking about mental health, whereas we never got to talk about that when I was a freshman. So it is cool to see.
Yeah. And, Penny, you bring up a good point about the seeking mental health services in a way that during the pandemic, we saw an increase in telehealth services, which is very convenient and widely utilized now for folks that either for whatever reason are not ambulatory, or their physical health, or whatever it is. That's a really cool feature, that a way of reaching folks in addressing physical, mental health needs and all of those. So telehealth,
I do like how that's still a prominent aspect when it comes to receiving mental health, because I know that it did skyrocket during that time. Yeah. But for those, who even after that period of isolation have anxiety about going over and seeing a person face to face or leaving their house, So
I think it's a great use of technology, because this leads to my next question. Like, I feel like technology has been not the number one, but definitely a huge factor in why over the time I feel like mental health has declined. Because hearing my parents talk, like back then for them, it was like more free. Like, you get to go outside, you get to play with friends. When I was growing up, now it's like I'm seeing my brothers always on the iPad, always on the phone. What do you think, or how big of an impact do you think that has on mental health today rather than back then?
Well, thank you for asking that question. I think that's such a great point. I was even just talking about this very topic today in my positive psychology class. We talk about the importance of leisure activity. Yeah. And when we think of leisure activity, I think a lot, and I'll ask my students, well, what are you doing for your leisure activity? Right. And I'm not knocking video games. It's a great outlet. It's a great outlet. And but it also does not necessarily stimulate our physical activity and engaging in a more tactile way, a more in-person sort of face-to-face way rather. And we just know generally that too much sedentary time is not great for our health, physical or mental. And we do see that that's sort of a go-to outlet for a lot of folks. Right. But there is that, and there's it is a great outlet. But just getting up and becoming engaged and using your leisure time, that's another piece. What's more valuable, your time or your money? Absolutely, time is your most precious commodity.
I agree with that 100%.
So it's how we spend that leisure time. And as you all are students, you probably juggle a lot during the day. You wear many hats throughout the day even. So you're probably got a lot going on. And so that makes, finding that leisure time and spending it very intentionally is
I'm
priority. Yeah.
a strong believer in intentionally using that time. That I don't even know for how many years I do take technology breaks. I get off all medias, and I spend my time reading or crocheting or painting, things that give you more of a sense of purpose. And social media is huge, and technology is huge, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but to have the self-discipline to know when, you know, your body needs some
a
true
little
downtime.
work-life balance.
In
Right?
moderation,
balance.
right?
Yeah,
Everything in
moderation.
moderation.
Yeah, exactly. We actually talked about, you know, anything really taken to the extreme or too much. You can do too much of anything, and it just becomes unhealthy. You know,
right.
even I give the exercise. I give the example of exercise. You know, that taken to the extreme can be
It's
unhealthy.
Not good, right? Absolutely.
So moderation. That's a great point.
Have you always wanted to be like in this field? Or is this something you've always like from a young age? Like, I really want to do this, or?
Yeah. Well, no. You know, I have to say I started
Straight up.
right. I know. I started my undergraduate degree actually as a chemistry major.
Oh wow.
Just considering, well, I was the first in a while to go to school, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I got A's in chemistry. I was kind of weird that way. I was interested in the periodic table, whatever.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I thought I'll run with this, and
That's
got
cool.
to after it was like my second semester as a chemistry major. I took a social psychology class and fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm spending my time on this. This is what I want to run with. And I ended up changing my major. Long story short, I loved everything about psychology and the topic of all, you know, the various topics surrounding psychology. And I knew I wanted to, as soon as I graduated, I wanted to do something in this field. And I was really drawn to working with children and their families. So I put my undergraduate degree in psychology to use right away as I was a mental health worker, which was both probably the most till that point when I was 21, the most challenging thing I had ever done.
Wow.
But it was the most growthful thing that I was like, I have found what I want to do, and I always knew it was going to be something involving. Because I also fell in love with teaching as well. Yeah. Teaching, and then, you know, the mental health field. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And through this journey, I'm sure it's been stressful, right? We're all human.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How, in some ways, have you, looked to improve your mental health? Or if there's ever times where you're in a slump, how do you pick yourself up?
Yeah, so I am a huge proponent and encourager of mental health care. And so, however that looks, the telehealth piece is great. There's so many ways to receive mental health care now, you know, through that over the phone or Zoom. But it's interesting and concerning that that we're here in Kern County. It's actually what we call a therapist desert.
Oh, wow.
In that even access to mental health services often means that you're going to have a wait of a month or two.
I can attest to that. I went to therapy for 2 years, and it initially was so difficult trying to find someone. And the reason why I had to stop going to her was because she moved her practice out of state. And so it is, what was your term? A therapist desert?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Dang.
Almost
Well,
like,
I don't, but
it is.
but the term, it describes it perfectly.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry about that, by the way.
No, I mean, it helped, you know? So
and considering that, I also, as a director of the counseling psychology program, Our program actually, a lot of students don't know, provides mental health services to the surrounding community.
Oh,
I was
wow.
actually thinking about, because I took my students on a little trip to show them the resources we have here in CCB, and I took them to the counseling center,
Right.
and I grabbed one of those little cards, because is it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it the first couple of sessions that are paid through your financial aid?
So where a lot of students kind of get us confused with the counseling center. So the counseling center is for all students.
Okay.
And so the University Counselor Training Clinic that we run within the master's program is actually a service to the surrounding community members. So any friends or family of students. So any non-students, if you know friends of or family members that could benefit from mental health care services, it is a great low cost or no cost option. We don't turn
That's
away.
amazing.
That's
I had
awesome.
no idea.
Yeah.
Is it, if it's okay, would you mind telling us how, because I know, especially people our age, like it might be maybe a fear thing or an embarrassment thing, which it shouldn't be, because like I said, we're all human. We all need mental health services. Could you kind of give us a bigger picture of what that looks like the program? Or is it different for everybody?
As far as the services that we provide, so specifically there is an intake session where the client sits down with one of the counselors and gets to know gets to know that person. And then from there, as convenient to the client, depending on their schedule, it's usually a weekly session of about an hour. And then depending on need, it could be issues with what you had mentioned, anxiety, or transition issues, or depressive symptoms. Transitional stuff. It could be a whole host of. They're very. We provide many variety of
That's
services.
awesome.
Yeah.
We need to get the word out there. We for
Yeah,
sure do.
definitely.
For sure. I was curious, because you do have your master's in counseling psychology.
Yes.
As you know, we're college students. We deal with mental health a lot. When you were a college student, did you ever seek out resources? And
Absolutely.
if so, what type of resources did you seek out?
So it's interesting. During my undergraduate experience, as I told you, I switched my major to psychology. And one of the classes that I took actually, and I think it was like, it was an option to take the class, and also as your experiential hours, seek counseling. And so, as part of that class, I thought, I am dealing with some transitional issues. I changed my major. I was still transitioning from living at home to being, in a dorm, and I had a new roommate, and
Just a lot.
the stress of being a student, right? And so absolutely I did. And that was like my first experience in just seeking mental health care myself. And it was a very positive experience. And that just speaks to the importance of really good mental health training on the part of counselors in training. So our program is, we are very distinguished in that way. Our counselors are sought after upon graduation within the community, but it means everything. From an early, I was like a freshman or sophomore in college. And so like I said, I'm a huge proponent, and I encourage students, family members, everyone could benefit from, just personal self-growth.
Right.
Can really, and walking hand in hand, well, not, figuratively,
Yes, I
with
understand.
someone along the way.
Yeah.
And even the actual, the people that are helping themselves, I'm sure they benefit too, do you think? Because even when I give advice to someone, or if I'm an outlet of help, I feel good myself. So do you think a lot of people go into this field with, not as that's the main reason, but do you think that's also sort of a plus for some people that are psychologists?
And it's a topic we can all relate to,
Yeah.
right? All of our experiences that we process every day, the transitions, hard times are just a common human, this is what it means to be human.
Yeah.
So we all kind of deal with things. And I think having, just being able to, we know that bottling up our emotions can be very deleterious to our health, bottling everything in. So that's another, absolutely. There's so many benefits. Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely. So not only do I seek mental health care, of course, on a regular basis as needed, but even just going and doing it for the extra credit or whatever it was for that class was eye-opening that I don't think a lot of students, as I was a student at the time, really understand like how helpful it can be.
Yeah.
Right.
It's actually really interesting to me because I think it was the beginning or near the end of last semester. I was actually thinking about getting my master's in counseling and psychology. To hear that that's part of the, you said, the time or like the work time that you have to do. Where did you get your master's in counseling psychology?
So bachelor's was back in, I'm going to start from the beginning
Yay.
because my path is interesting. So my undergraduate degree was Millersville University of Pennsylvania because I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay. East Coast.
Met my now spouse and we moved to San Bernardino, California, where I decided that was where I was going to get my master's at Cal State San Bernardino.
Okay, nice.
And then from there, we wanted to be closer to family, and we have 3 kids, and we wanted to be closer, so we moved back to the East Coast.
Coast to coast.
And now we're
to
back
coast.
here in California to
Back
stay.
to the
though.
coast. Okay. Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Dr.
Thanks.
Harper, you've been honestly amazing. I have one more question though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you said, we're all human.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing you could do is interact with another human. I feel like it really does help you, feel better about yourself, feel positive. So do you have any advice to people who are out there maybe struggling with mental health and are kind of afraid to seek help or don't know where to seek help? Do you have any advice for them or where to go or who to call?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, the counseling services we offer here, and it's surprising that so many people like yourselves didn't know that we even exist here.
Yeah.
But my advice would be not to wait another minute, and that help is closer than you think. A helping hand, and depending on what that need is, if it's something, pick up the phone, there's the crisis line,
Right.
and oftentimes, I don't think enough people know like how many that there are services out there. Yes, we do live, Kern County is considered a therapist desert, but the crisis line is amazing, and they can definitely put that person on the path towards the next steps. But our clinic also here in serving the greater community. We are actually doing outreach for clients. So if you do know of anyone struggling with anxiety, symptoms of depression, really anything, any of those transitional things. But again, going back to your question, Ibu, not to wait another second, another minute.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. Help is closer than you think. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming on. You are our highlight guest for the month of September.
Wow.
We really appreciate you coming. Guys, this is Dr. Erika Harper. I was joined with my co-host Penny today. And like we said, help is only one call away. It's closer than you think, guys. So, hey, love each other, support each other. If you want to sit right here on this chair, click the link in the bio. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I know I'm asking a lot, but hey, this was Runner on the Air, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Deuces.